My name is James Shepard, and I would like to welcome you to the CC Sales Pro Show. We have a very exciting show for you today. We're going to get started with our core values as always, but as we do each week, the core values are really going to be talking about how to apply our core values to our topic today. Our topic today is how to close sales, how to close deals. So if you feel like maybe you're spinning your wheels a little bit, or if you feel like you could just do better at closing, then you're going to really enjoy the last part of the webinar. I have one slide where I'm going to talk about some overall observations that I made in going through the database. What I did was I actually went through every single prospect that was in the closed no status. And I tried to make sure that, and a lot of them, I could group a lot of them together for, the same reasons that they didn't close. But I looked at all the comments, read through all the notes from the agents, and so I really think I have some really good information to share with you today on some of the issues that are keeping us from closing deals and how to close deals, how to get around those obstacles, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to get started, as always, with our core values. First of all, always learning, always learning. And again, if my voice sounds a little strange, I can't seem to get better, so my voice is still kind of going a little bit here. In the area of always learning, we're talking about closing deals. First of all, understand that what you say in sales matters. I'm always amazed when I talk to sales agents and they tell me, James, I can't get any sales. And I say, okay, give me your opening. And they'll say, well, I do the same opening that you do. I'll say, okay, go ahead, give it to me. I'm the customer. Hello. Go ahead. And I'm always surprised that most of the agents I talk with, when I actually hear what they're saying, one of two things is drastically wrong. Either what they're saying is way off, or the way that they're saying it is way off. So understand that those things actually do matter in sales. It's not just about I'm getting out in the field, I'm working hard. That is extremely important, and you can't succeed without that. But if you're out in the field, you're working hard, but you're not saying the right things, then you're not going to make sales. And if you're saying it in the wrong way, you're not going to make sales. Your industry knowledge and your knowledge of sales in general, that stuff matters. So in this area of always learning with that core value, we have to apply that to sales. You want to be always learning how to improve your pitch, always improving your pitch, always learning about the industry, always maybe doing your pitch in front of a mirror to see how are you presenting it. How do you look when you're saying your pitch. I would be interested to know how many of you in the last month have done your pitch either in front of a mirror or in front of a family member. That's really important. If you want to be always learning in this area of sales, take my advice and sometime in the next week, go ahead and do your pitch in front of a mirror, and then also do it in front of a family member. You'll be shocked at how big of a difference it'll make in your pitch when you can get some candid feedback from a family member that says, you don't really seem that confident, or it doesn't sound to me like you know what you're talking about. Things like that, that's what you need to hear so that you can work on that and work on your pitch. So make sure you're always learning about sales, always learning about your pitch and how to improve it. Number two, second core value is always living. Ask for help from your family with your pitch. Yeah, Kevin also mentions tape yourself doing your pitch with a cell phone. That's another great tip. Thanks for sharing that, Kevin, because on most of your cell phones you will have, many of you on your cell phone, you have a little voice recording thing, something like that you can use. That's very, very valuable. Go through your pitch. So when you do that and then you listen to yourself, or talk to your family. In this area of always living, that's going to really help you improve. And when I say always living, my life, I don't try to totally separate my work from my personal life in the way that I want my wife to be involved in the business a little bit. Now, she's not really involved in the administration or anything like that, but I want to be involved in her life. She wants to be involved in my life. So we want to try to utilize that and try to help us with our pitch. So find somebody in your family that's going to give you some candid feedback and give them your pitch. Always leveraging. Let me give you a really quick technology tip here that you can use that I think will really help you. one of the things that I like to do is in Google Docs, if you go to docs.google.com, or I think it's actually drive.google.com now, you can open up a document there, and it's an online document, and you can open up kind of like a Word document. Type out your pitch, and then you can make changes to that as you go along, even in the field from your cell phone. You can pull it up and you can make changes to it if you get an app, the Google Docs app. So I like to use that because I like to track the pitch. I like to track what am I saying, use it to memorize your pitch. You can do things like schedule an email reminder from your calendar reminding you every morning about your opening pitch. Just type out your opening pitch, do a recurring event every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, and every morning you're going to get an email and it's going to have that, your opening pitch, and you can read that and it'll help you memorize it. So a couple of little technology tips. But let me say this though, you should definitely, without question, have your pitch and your rebuttal to the main objections. You should have that written, typed out or written out somewhere where you can easily access it and review it and change it and edit it and make improvements to it. Always adding value. If you don't understand your value proposition, okay, if you don't understand your value proposition, in other words, if you don't understand what value you're providing to the customer, there is no pitch that's going to generate and retain customers, okay? Now, you might have a really shady pitch that's going to make a sale, but then those people are going to cancel because unless you understand your value proposition and the value that you're providing to the customer, it doesn't matter how good your pitch is. If there's no value for the customer, then you're not going to make the sale. Now, that value could be as simple as savings. It could be something like a touchscreen point of sale system. It could be local service. It could be month-to-month agreement with free equipment. So there's a lot of different options, for adding value. How to close the sale. So let's start off with just some basic observations that I made. Just as, again, what I did, guys, just for those of you that missed the very beginning, I pretty much just went through our Podio workspace, and I went through every single deal that was closed no, and I looked back at all the notes to see why we weren't closing the deal. So let me make a couple observations. Number one, we have way too many businesses in the prospecting, obtain statement, follow-up stages of the sales cycle, okay? We've got to close these deals, okay? Let me kind of help you understand something, okay? Let's say that you talk to 20 business owners, okay? If your closing ratio is, let's say, 20%, okay? It doesn't matter that you spoke to 20 business owners, okay? It only matters how many deals you close. So if you don't ask for the business, then you're not going to get a sale. All right. So if you just follow up and follow up and follow up, you might say, well, of the merchants, of the business owners I've closed, I'm closing at like 40%. Well, yeah, but how many did you close last week? Well, I only closed 3, or I closed 4, and one of them bought. Okay, so you only got 1 sale last week. You need to close like 15 a week at least. So when you're doing your prospecting, many of you are adding, you're walking into 5 or 10 new businesses every day, but at the end of the week, you're only closing like 6 businesses. That's way too few, okay? In a week's time, however many businesses you're walking into a week, if you're walking into 50 businesses a week, you should be closing 30 to 40 businesses a week if you're talking to that many business owners. So in other words, once you talk to a business owner, you need to move that process along and you need to close the sale. Either it's a yes or it's a no, but you got to close it, because otherwise it's going to ruin your time management for one thing, because you're going to have all these deals hanging out there. Some of you have hundreds of prospects that are in the follow-up stage. What is that? That doesn't do you any good. Go close them. Go follow up one more time and close the deal. Okay? Just close it. If it's a no, it's a no. But you got to push them to a yes or a no. Many of our agents, I found, it's interesting actually, Many of our agents are very professional. Many of you come from jobs where you're making $150,000 a year or $80,000 a year as a corporate salesperson or whatever, real estate or whatever it might be, and you're very professional. People love you. They're very good at making connections, but you're not closing the sale. You got to go in there and close these deals. Understand, selling merchant services is not like selling real estate. The sales cycle is not nearly as long because the decision is not as big. These people aren't deciding to spend $200,000. They're deciding to put in a new credit card machine and give it a shot. So the decision is much smaller, so that makes the sales cycle a lot shorter. So you need to go back in and close these deals. When in doubt, just ask for the business, okay? Let me give you 2 possible lines that you can use. So what do you think, Joe? Are you going to give me a shot? That's a line that you can use to close the deal. If you're in there and you think, boy, I don't know if this guy's going to buy or not, I'm about to do a follow-up. Don't do that. Just say, well, Joe, hey, man, I don't really know where you're at with all this. I don't know what you're thinking yet. I do know that, I've really tried hard to give you a great deal. So what do you think, Joe? Are you going to give me a shot? Close the sale. Now, that's not a great close, but it's better than not closing at all. Another one right below it. Hey, Bob, hey, I've done my best to answer all your questions, Bob. I'm giving you a great offer, the free equipment, month-to-month agreement, and all that. So what do you think, Bob? Have I earned your business? You've got to, have I earned your business? Are you going to give me a shot? You've got to close the sale, okay? Even if you get a no. Sometimes if you got way too many of these hanging out there, just go close, okay? Push these people to say yes or no. What types of sales agents make the most money, okay? This is important to understand. I think a lot of agents don't really understand this. Number 3, the agents who make the least amount of money, okay, the least amount, are the agents who are great at building relationships, but they don't close the sale because they don't want to be rude, they don't want to be pushy, they're too afraid, they don't want to push them to do something. If you are feeling like that, those are the types of agents who make the least amount of money in this industry. You would think it would be number 2, the hard charging, constantly closing. Come on, Bob, let's do this deal. Give me your business today. I'm gonna do a good job for you. Hey, let's get started. Those kind of sales agents that many of you on this webinar would think, oh, I don't ever want to be that kind of salesperson. They make more money, and I'm telling you, this is after working with hundreds, probably over 1,000 agents that I've worked with between my corporate sales training job and then this business. I'm telling you, out of over 1,000 agents, I promise you, the hard charging, constantly closing, like used car salesman type of salespeople, they make twice as much money as the relationship builders that don't know how to close sales. Now, I'm not advising that you become that agent on that extreme, but all I'm saying is that extreme pays more money than the other extreme. So if you're on the extreme where you build relationships but you just can't close, then you're not going to make any money. Okay, you can't. You have to ask for the business. You have to close, okay? Now, what you want, the kind of agent that makes the most money, and this is good news for many of you that are good at building relationships, is the agent that builds relationships and knows how to close the deal, okay? So, and here's why. When you're closing a sale, it's all about trust and risk, okay? You got to be able to build up the trust, then you have to be able to risk that relationship and close the deal. So if you know how to build up trust and you're willing to close the sale, you're going to make a lot of money in this business and really in any sales job because you know how to close the deal. So you know what it takes to close, okay? Just close the sale, all right? Get in there. Maybe you need to be a little bit more hard charging. Maybe you need to close a little bit more often. But get in there and get these things cleaned out. If you've got like 100 leads right now, they're in like the follow-up stage and you've got them on a big list. Let me encourage you this week, go get like 60 of those people to tell you yes or no. Because you know what you're going to find out? Maybe 7 or 8 of them might tell you yes, and you might have 7 or 8 sales this week. The others, all the rest of them might tell you no. Who cares? They were going to tell you no anyway. The only question is, are you going to waste another month worrying about them, or are you going to just clean them out of your system, get a no, and move on to the next one? Now, we want to make sure we're keeping good relationships with these people, but at the same time, you got to close the deal. Okay, if you don't close the deal, you're never going to make any sales. Okay, now here's what I've got. Each of the next few slides represents a huge chunk of leads that I looked at in our system of people that were not closed. So for instance, the next one that we have here is called Not Right Now. Now, I saw a lot of these in the system where, you went in to close the deal and the customer said, not right now, or they said, you know what, we'll be interested in a few months, you can follow up, whatever it might be, okay? So, first of all, this objection tells you two things. Number one, you've not provided enough information and or value, okay? That's the first thing that this objection should tell you. One of the most important skills in sales is being able to understand when people are saying something, what they really mean. And objections are a great example of that. An objection almost never means what they say. In other words, when they say not right now, they don't mean I'm not interested right now, but I'm really going to be interested in 2 or 3 months. That's not what they mean. What they mean is you haven't given me enough information and or enough value for me to want to move forward with you at all. Okay? The not right now part is just the get rid of you part. Okay? Number two, you have not created a real connection with them. When somebody, and I get this all the time, I'm not, Mr. Sales Superman, I get this a lot too. And whenever I get this objection, it tells me I haven't really made a strong connection with that customer yet. And if I don't have that strong connection, they're very likely to kind of blow me off and not right now, James, and follow up with this later. And here's one of the reasons they do that. One of the reasons they do that, guys, is that they want to see if you're still around in 3 months. Because you haven't made a good connection with them, they don't really trust you, and they're thinking to themselves, let's see where this guy's at in 3 months. Let's see if he's still even in this business. And if he is, then we might consider doing business with him. Okay? Number two, remember your goal is to obtain the statement. Here's one of the best ways that I handle this particular objection. When they say, no, not right now. Here's what I almost always say. If I haven't got the statement yet, I say, you know what, that's fine. That's no problem at all. I understand, and I want you guys to have time to think about it. I certainly don't want to push you into something or anything like that, but I would like to do one thing if you don't mind. One thing I like to do is I know that in the future you are going to be considering, switching to a new merchant services provider. Maybe you're going to get bids from my competitors or whatever it might be. Now, I'm the local guy. I'm the first one that came in. So what I'd like to do is this. If you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and give you the free cost analysis so that you can put it on the stack. Put it in your file. Then when you guys are ready to switch, mine will be the first one on the stack and you'll already know what kind of savings I can provide. So if I'm willing to invest my time for free to do the cost analysis, I'm sure you wouldn't mind if I did that for you, would you? So that's the pitch I like to use for the not right now if I don't have the statement yet. So I use that as an opportunity to just get the statement. Now when I come back, of course I'm not going to say, here you go, put it in your file. I'm not going to do that. When I walk back, I'm going to say, hey, I wanted to go ahead and give this to you, but honestly, I was just going to tell you to put it in your file, but man, once I got to looking at it, the savings I can offer are so good that I really just at least want to go over it with you because I really think it'd be worth your time. I've never had a merchant say, no, I just want the analysis. Once you bring the analysis back, it's like, wow, this guy is legitimate. Look at this really nice professional analysis. I'm at least going to talk to him. You'd be surprised it's a lot easier than you might think to be able to talk to people about it, okay? If you already have the statement, first of all, try to quickly back out for 1 week. Try to quickly back out for 1 week. Sure, no problem. I see you guys are really busy right now. I'll just swing back by next week. Try to get that, if you can back out of that real quick. So they might say, James, you know what? This is a really crazy time for our business right now. We're not really interested in making a decision. Almost like cut them off a little bit and just say, hey, Bob, I totally understand. I can see you guys are real busy. I'll just swing back by here next week and we'll talk to you then. Hey, thanks so much for your time. You have a great day. And shake his hand and turn around and walk out the door. Now, when you come back the next week, now you can go right into your pitch and it's totally disarmed their objection. They can't really say, no, not right now. So that's one little trick I do. Sometimes, though, that's not going to work. They will have already said, whatever. So if they do, close harder, okay? Don't do a follow-up in 2 or 3 months. Here's what you say. Bob, honestly, I know that until you actually try my service, you just aren't going to see the value I can really provide. Now, I already offered you a free terminal. I offered you monthly savings, no contract. Let's just get started with this thing and see how it goes. Would you mind if I just got you started next week? I'll put a terminal in. There's no contract. All I want is a shot. Will you give me a shot? Do it close like that. Be a little bit more forceful, a little more assumptive about it, okay? Jonathan Ruiz is going to put in his some thoughts on this as well. John, go ahead, man. You're unmuted.
Thank you so much, James. Hello, everybody. Just thought that I put in my 2 cents because I am going to be training this local guy that is currently working for the bank. And yesterday I took the day out to, partially for like 2, 3 hours, go out on the field and show them what I say, what I do, because it's very different the way we pitch versus the way that the bank pitches. But just one of the most effective ways that I found out that I can close a small mom and pop shop all the way to the big guys is giving them their options. A lot of the times we go out there and we just bid. That's all we do. We give them, okay, I got the statement perfect. Then you come back and then you're like, oh, well, Mr. Jones, I'm going to be able to save you $150 a month. And I'm lowering this rate and I'm lowering that rate and I'm lowering this transaction fee. And these are your savings, $150 a month, which is over $2,000 a year. What do you think about that? A lot of the guys that you're going to encounter, or a lot of the merchant business owners, they're going to look at you like, okay, and you're not building value on it. It just goes back to what James was saying. But one of the things that I do, and I'll tell you a little bit about the story yesterday, but what I do is, number one, I give them their options, okay? Number one, you can buy out this machine. So I'm basically pitching, something that my competitor would do. You can buy this machine for $500 and you would be saving this much. Or number two, you can actually get my machine for free. This is a totally different program. On this one, you don't have a contract, okay? And you give them all the benefits. One of them is not such a good deal. The other one is. So you give them that, and most likely they're going to choose the one that you're giving them with all the, the great perks and stuff. No contract, free machine, lower rates, stuff like that. Give them an education about their options, including enough discussion for them to consider each and every single one of them. Because you can go into one saying, okay, well, Mr. Bob, I'm going to save you $100 on this one. You're going to have to buy my machine because obviously your machine is too old. I cannot reprogram it. But that's no problem because I'll be able to do everything for you. I'll set it up. I'll train your employees, and it won't be a big switch. It won't be a hassle. I'll make the process more than seamless. Now, I have this other package where you actually would get just a little tiny bit better savings. You would get a free machine. Okay, the machine is not yours. It's just basically a loaner. So as long as you have our service, we provide you with a machine. And we also have no contract. Now, what is the difference between this one and this one? Well, on this one, you do have a contract. On this one, you don't have a contract. And you really don't want to be tied into a contract nowadays because I see that credit card processing is such a generic service that, you shouldn't really be tied onto it or overpay for it. Do you agree with me, Mr. Jones? 9 out of 10 times they say, yeah, that's true. Well, okay, perfect. So which one do you think will work out better for you, Mr. Jones, A or B? And, if they just sit there quiet in awkward silence, give them a recommendation. Well, Mr. Jones, I recommend that you grab this package or this type of financing. Or I suggest that you do this type of program. Why? Well, I feel that in your type of business with the small ticket that you do, and you grab all the information that you already gotten and use it again for the recommendation, and then let them choose. One of the things is that they're going to choose one or two ways. If you just go there and bid, they're not going to give you a for sure. Okay, let's go, let's do this. Now you might have one here and one there. They've been looking for a credit card processor. They've gotten bids, oh good Lord, for the past 3 weeks. Every guy that walked in there was just a complete, I don't want to make names, but you know what I mean. And you were pretty much the nicest and the most honest out of all of them. So they're going to be like, okay, well, let's go for it. But one of the things is, guys, give them options. Be a consultant. You want to be the trusted advisor. See, clients are often anxious and uncertain about what's going on in their business. See, they look at other things more than the financial side of things. That's why they hire a CPA or an accountant. And above all, they're looking for someone who will provide reassurance and calm their fears, but also inspire confidence. When you go there, be enthusiastic about this. This is going to close more deals. You will rub off on them. That, like, not in a bad way, but the enthusiasm will rub off, and you'll see how they will start smiling, and they'll start, it's just the body language. I catch the body language changing tremendously when I am a very enthusiastic guy, and I change the pitch of my voice and everything like that. So go out there, have fun, but more than anything, always be closing. And they're trying to
Right.
qualify them and make sure that they're, they're going to be,
And
they're not going to be a waste of time.
it's really, so much of what you're talking about, John, it really does have to do with your confidence level and the way that you're approaching the merchant, right? Because it's like, if you go in there real timid and you can't look them in the eye, you can't give a firm handshake, and you try to do the stuff that you're talking about, they're going to kick you out on the curb.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's like I said, it's just pretty much they're looking for somebody that's gonna calm their fears and inspire confidence. Your
Right.
confidence is gonna rub off on them, and then they're gonna be confident of making the decision with you. That's bottom line.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. All right, here we go. Thanks, John, very much. I better get back to my slides. So, all right, here we go. And by the way, guys, I love having John on here just because, for one thing, John's out in the field selling a lot more than I am now, and so a lot of times he can provide a lot of insight that to what we're talking about. And let me say one other thing real quick before I move on quickly to finish these slides up. If you want to know really the secret to how John and I actually make sales and some of the other top people, it really is about presenting options, and it is about presenting that yes or yes option. Which do you want to do? For me, it's we have two different the two different options I present to every single merchant is free equipment, month-to-month agreement, or we have a touchscreen point of sale system, and I explain that. And so those are the two options I present to every single merchant. And many of them choose to just do the regular free terminal merchant services. That's great. A lot of them choose the touchscreen point of sale. That's even better. So it is about the options. But the point I want to make today is this. Many of you are trying to do that. And you feel like, well, if I present the options, then they're just going to buy from me. And if they don't buy, then I'll just put them in the follow-up. No. If they don't buy after you do all your fancy spiel, you still got to close that sale, okay? It's not going to close itself. It doesn't matter how good you think, your pitch was. Well, my pitch was amazing. And at the very end, they just couldn't make a decision. So, I just have to follow up. No, you just have to make them make a decision. So you got to close the sale, all right? Always be closing. So use all the smooth techniques. Use the lines that John and I talk about. Use all the options. Go through the training. But when it comes right down to it, and you're in front of the merchant, you've got to get them to make a decision. Because if you don't, you're never going to make any sales. So, all right, let's go through. I got a few more. I'll just go through these real quick, and you can review these on the recording later on. Another one we got a lot was, we just switched. What I do is, let me give you my little method of what I do. So somebody tells me, hey, James, we just switched. Man, I don't want to switch again. It was like a month ago. We just signed up with this new company. I say, oh, that's no problem. Let me ask you one question, if you don't mind. Why did you guys switch? Well, why did you switch from the person you had before that? Then they say, well, we switched because of whatever. The service wasn't very good, or because they were going to save us money, or because the other guy was local, or I don't know, whatever. Whatever it is. Whatever they say, you respond and say, okay, so you would say that blank is the most important factor in who you're going to use for merchant services. So like if they said, well, really the service just wasn't very good with the other company that we were with, so we switched. I would say, okay, so you would say that having good service, as long as the price is in place, having good service is really the primary, most important factor for who you're going to choose for your merchant services. That's how you make that decision, is based on service. And sometimes they'll say yes, sometimes they'll say, well, it's a combination of service and price, and then you just keep restating what they said. Okay, so you're telling me that you feel like you got to look at two things. You got to look at the best price and the best service, and that's how you make your decision about who you're going to choose for merchant services. Once you get them to say yes, that they agree, then you say, well, Bob, let me ask you something. If I could provide a better service and a better price, it sounds like that would at least be worth looking at before you make a long-term decision about your processing partner, wouldn't it? So I'm going to use a line like that to so what I do is I have like a method here. I start out by finding out why they switch, getting them to clarify that the most important decision is whatever. Then I basically just say, if I can do a better job of that, wouldn't it at least be worth taking a look at? And then this is a really important line at the end. Before you make your long-term decision about your processing partner. I'm saying that because I'm implying that they haven't made that decision yet. Okay? Even though they may have, I am assuming that they haven't. And so that's what kind of opens the whole thing back up. And then they say, well, I guess we could take a look at it. They'll say that a lot of times. And then that's all you need. Okay, great. Well, let me take a look at your statement, and I'll tell you right. I mean, obviously I need to do this in a hurry because I know you guys are really in this spot right now where pretty soon you got to make that long-term decision. So let me go and take a look at your statement and see what I can do for you. Okay, the next one, I can't talk to the owner. So this is where an employee tells you the owner said he's not interested. So maybe you got a statement, maybe you didn't, but you go back in and the employee says, hey, I talked to Bill, I gave him your card, and he said to tell you that he's not interested. I say, oh, okay, why isn't he interested? Just like that. Kind of almost not rude, but just kind of short. Okay, so why is he not interested? And one other thing I'll do here, guys, let me give you a little side tip. I'll sometimes make it really complicated. Like, I might say something like, oh, okay, now did you explain to him about how the PCI compliance works with our program? Something like that where the employee has no idea what you're even talking about. And then they're going to be like, well, I don't know, or no, I didn't say anything about that, okay? Then you say, okay, well, I definitely am going to need to talk to him because, I know I can add value and he's going to be interested. I need to explain this to him. Is he in right now? Okay, and then they say, no, he's not. He'll be back on Thursday. Okay, I'll swing back by on Thursday, man. Thanks so much. Have a great day. So basically, you just kind of ignore it, is I guess the best way for me to put it. Understand that once an employee says he's not interested, you're probably only going to close maybe 1 out of 20 here, maybe 1 out of 10, depending on, how firm the no is. But it's still worth it. Again, we have to get better at playing the numbers game here, guys. Got to get better at playing the numbers game. Don't just take pick the cherries of, the easy ones where it's like they just are, oh yes, please give me your service. You got to go back in there, and out of the other 25 that you've got, you got to go in there and close the deal, finalize everything, and maybe you get 1 or 2 sales out of it, but that's 1 or 2 sales you wouldn't have had if you didn't go back and close those deals. What about no savings? Or well, I was only able to save him $5. I saw tons of these. Well, I couldn't sell him because I was only able to save him $5 a month. Okay, this is where John's approach really, really comes in handy. Here is offer them options. Okay, offer them options. You might go in and say, hey, well, we got a couple options for you. First of all, we could give you free equipment. We can actually match the price you have now. We can give you a free upgraded terminal, or the other option I have is I can match your price and I can actually go ahead and get you a really good deal on a touchscreen point of sale system. Have you guys ever thought about having a touchscreen point of sale system? So you've got to kind of move the conversation to something else. Talk about local service. Emphasize that they're currently with a big company. Let me show you what this looks like in a pitch. Bob, let me ask you a question. Let's say that you are buying something from Sam's Club or another large company for your business, and a local vendor offered to match your current rate and provide better local service. What would you do in that situation? Now, if you ask 100 business owners that question, 80 or 90 of those 100 business owners will say, oh, I'd switch to the local company. Okay, so that's really all you need them to say. Then you can go right back in with your line, and you can talk about, you can go right back in with, well, that's exactly what I'm going to do for you today. I'm going to match your price that you're getting with a larger company. I'm a local provider. Obviously, my service is going to be substantially better. So I know that you'd like to switch over to a local provider for this service, but here's my question for you. Which of these 2 options do you think would be your best fit? And then you go into a touchscreen point of sale or free equipment. So if you're only going to save somebody $3 or $4 a month, just match their rate. Don't save them $3 or $4 a month. Just add that to your profit and just match their rate, because it's almost an insult to say I'm going to save you $2 a month. You know what I mean? Just match their rate, and then tell them about the local service, talk about the free equipment, the month-to-month agreement, and then use this line that I gave you. I have 2 more here. Let me go through these real quick, and then we'll be done. They won't give me the statement. Number 1, are you using the pitch from How to Sell Merchant Services course? Okay, I'm not going to go through it right now because I've literally done it like 1,000 times on here, but I'm always surprised, again, when I talk to agents, and they're like, well, I can't get a statement. And I say, okay, well, how are you trying to get a statement? Let's go through your pitch. And they're like, well, I do the same one that you do. They always say that. Oh, okay, well, go ahead, do it. Let's hear it. Hey, I'd like to take a look at your statement. Could I get a copy of that? And I'm like, I've never said that. Offer to take a photocopy of only the fee section. So if they say, I'm really not comfortable giving you a statement, the first thing that you can do is, the first thing you want to offer them is say, okay, that's fine. How about this? I totally understand that, and I know you might make you a little bit nervous. How about I do this? How about I just take a picture with my phone just of the fee section? So I won't have any of your account information or business name or anything like that, because I don't even really need that. All I need is the fees so I can show you what my savings would be. Some people will agree to that. If they still say, no, I don't want to give you my statement, I haven't seen any of your rates, I don't want you to have my statement, offer an exchange. Say, let me ask you this. Maybe this would sound more fair to you, okay? How about I go ahead and make up a proposal with my lowest rates. I put my name on it, I put my address, I put all my information on there, and I give you my lowest rates in writing and hand that to you. Would you in exchange then be willing to give me your statement so I can just show you how much money you would save with those rates? We could kind of do an even exchange. I'll give you my information, you give me a little bit of yours, and then I'll do a cost analysis for free and show you how much money we could save you. Does that sound fair? Most people will say that that does sound fair, and they'll allow you to do that. So that's another great way for you to get the statement. Use the I am so confident month-to-month pitch. This is my last resort that I'll use. If they say, you know what, I can't give you my statement, I'm just not comfortable doing that. I say, okay, I tell you what, Bob, let's do this. I am so confident that my rates are less than your rates, and I know that, here's what I'm going to do. Because I'm that confident, I'm going to give you a month-to-month agreement. So what that means is no contract, no early termination fee, and I'm going to give you a free terminal, and here's what I want you to do. I'm going to go ahead and set that terminal up for you next week at no cost. I want you to run your transactions through my terminal for 1 month. Then at the end of that month, you can look at my statement and look at your old statement, and you will see the savings. If you don't see the savings, you can cancel my account. You can cancel my business, and it won't cost you anything. No contract, nothing, and I'll come get my machine back. Now, I know that that's fair because I'm the one taking all the risk there, right? So you can use a pitch like that, as kind of a last resort. If they are saying, hey, I'll give you a statement, but they don't have it there, keep coming back until you get that statement. As long as they seem like they're going to give you a statement, keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back, and get that statement so you can sell those people, okay? Now, that's our last one. I did not do the action steps, next action steps segment today because I knew it would take a little longer with this, and I'm glad we were able to take some extra time, especially with John's stuff that he threw in there. But a couple other next action steps I'll give you real quick before we end the webinar. Go through all of your prospects today and over the weekend and make a list of people that didn't tell you yes and didn't tell you no, and go back and get a yes or a no from those people. Present a couple options like John talked about, and then close the sale. So first month, what's a good time for you? Then you go in, get their old statement, get the new statement. All you have to compare is the effective rates. So figure the effective rate for each of those and you'll be fine. All right, that's it for today. Thank you very much for being on the webinar. I hope you all have a wonderful day today.